All right, today we're cracking open a story from let's call it a forbidden text. It's a parable that's trying to diagnose the sickness of a society totally lost in its own comfort. This is a tale about a strange entity that descends from the mountains with one goal: to shatter illusions. This is the story of the grim Gnash, straight from the pages of The Grey Truth. So where does this story come from? Well, our source is this heavy, stone-bound volume, supposedly from the deepest, most terminal archives of a group called the Shadow Cabinet. And it doesn't present itself as just a book. No, it's an intellectual salvage mission designed to dig up a way of seeing the world that was basically considered too tough or too inconvenient for everybody else. Okay, so before we get to the main event and meet our central character, we really need to understand the problem this whole text is trying to address. What is this societal sickness it's trying to diagnose? So the whole idea here is that there's this worldview, this gray truth, that's been deliberately buried by institutions just to keep things the way they are. The text says it uses something called an uncanny hook, an idea so strange, so out there, that it just forces you to look closer, to dig into knowledge that's been purposefully forgotten. And here it is. This is the sickness it diagnoses: the Great Evening. Now, this has nothing to do with the time of day. It's a metaphor for a whole civilization that's just lost its fire. It's a state of deep, deep spiritual stagnation. A culture that's traded the drive for greatness for the simple guarantee of ease. A spiritual flatline. And the text absolutely rejects the poster child of this age, the last man. You know who this is. This is the person who actively, willingly chooses a life with no struggle, no real challenges, no ambition. He is the living embodiment of a society that has just given up on becoming anything more. So, with that rather bleak stage set, let's bring on the central figure of our parable. Let's meet the entity that comes down from the high peaks to confront this exact stagnation head-on. Meet the grim Gnash. The text describes him as this Wendigo-inspired being, the sovereign of the snowy mountain. He's this figure basically hardened into existence by freezing fog, dressed in the colors of ash and old bone, and he's wrapped in this permanent icy veil that literally chills the air around him. But his purpose, now that's what's really fascinating. He isn't a builder, he's an architect of negation. His whole mission is to uncreate. His job is to systematically tear down the comfortable illusions and the masks that society wears to hide from hard truths and from the coming rot. He comes down from the mountain carrying what the text calls a crimson gift. Now, this isn't something you can hold. It's a kind of radical, brutal wisdom meant for an age that's gone soft, an age that's completely lost its spirit of becoming. So here's the game plan, right? He descends from those high, icy crags, not to conquer, but to completely shatter the stupor of agreement. His goal is to dig up the suppressed truth of a terminal existence and to challenge a whole civilization that, in its endless search for comfort, has actually forgotten how to die. Okay, so where is he going? Let's turn to the Gnash's destination, the place where this societal sickness has really taken root. He is heading straight for the physical embodiment of the Great Evening. He arrives at the city of Ash Hues. I mean, the name itself is a dead giveaway, right? It's a place of muted colors, of spiritual decay, the pathetic end state of society that has made comfort its one and only god. This is where everyone lives in their cozy stupor of agreement. This slide just captures the city's philosophy perfectly. I love this metaphor. You're faced with the difficult, dangerous tightrope of life. And instead of striving to master it, you know what they do? They just lower the wire until it's on the floor. They've eliminated all risk. Sure, but in doing so, they've also eliminated any chance for true greatness. Life here is what the book calls a gilded cage. A metaphorical sweet gray dust is poisoning the wells, making the soul decay. A little voice they call the spirit of contempt is constantly whispering, "Play it safe, don't strive." And the people, known as the long-tired, have traded the agony of creation for a predictable, unearned, and ultimately a completely meaningless security. So, how in the world do you break through that level of apathy? The Gnash doesn't just show up with brute force. Now, he uses philosophical weapons, tools designed to shatter the city's self-deception. His first weapon is the logic of zero. It's this philosophical tool that just lays bare the hollowness of their carefully curated lives. It basically demonstrates how every path they follow, every comfort they chase, it all just leads back to a meaningless void. He can look at their grandest feast and just reduce it to mere matter. He sucks the meaning right out of it. His second weapon is, well, it's even more intense. It's called Fichtean necromancy. It's a complex idea, but think of it this way. He doesn't just point out that they're stagnating, he makes them feel it. He brings their stagnation to life, forcing each person to have this direct, visceral encounter with what the text calls the terminal shudder, the raw, undeniable reality of their own death. And of course, this puts him on a collision course with Salvio Palliato, the city's high priest, the so-called guardian of the status quo. You see, Palliato offers the city's holy trinity: safety, comfort, and stagnation. The grim Gnash, he offers a totally different currency: the chilling, but also liberating, realization of your own mortality.
And he does this through a series of really symbolic actions. He openly mocks their promises of eternal comfort. He reveals that their most sacred objects are just shields to hide from hard truths. He shatters the uncanny mirror of their smug self-satisfaction, forcing them to see what they've really become. And finally, he provides the honest sound, just a simple thud, pulling their spirits back down to the raw earth.
But what's the point of all this destruction? Is it just nihilism? Is he just tearing things down for fun? Well, according to the text, this ruin, it has a profound and absolutely necessary purpose. And this is where it all clicks into place. The whole parable is what you could call an inverted hero's journey. A typical hero climbs the mountain to gain wisdom, right? The Gnash, he already has this cold, hard wisdom. His journey is a descent, a journey down into society to deliver a destructive but necessary gift. The goal isn't just to destroy, it's to clear the field for something new. And this leads us to the core question of the whole parable. And really, it's a question for all of us. What is the value of a truth that completely shatters your peace? I mean, is a comfortable lie really better than a painful reality? Because here's the endgame. The ultimate purpose of the Glenish's destructive mission isn't chaos, it's creation. By tearing down that gilded cage and clearing away all the decay, he's preparing the ground for something new to grow. A stronger type of human, the Overman, who is destined to rise from those very ruins. And we'll end with this really powerful quote, which sums up the entire worldview of the great truth. It suggests that real mastery isn't found by avoiding hardship. It's found by facing the brutal necessities of life head-on and relentlessly, stubbornly affirming life anyway. Something to chew on.